Hello everyone and welcome back to part 2 of this unboxing video. Hope you enjoyed part 1. If you haven't watched it then check it out on the channel, but let's crack straight on with part 2. So first out we have a 19th century coaching print. It's hand coloured to a certain extent, although over time that has faded. It's missing its glass. I think it's the original frame. The sign on the above the shop refers to liquors, so it's the equivalent of maybe it's a bar or a tavern, or even possibly buy your liquor from there. Down the bottom there's a little bit of information and it says Hackney Coach. What I might do actually is just get my little magnifying glass just to see if I can make out a little bit more detail, because that writing down there is absolutely tiny. Right, here we go. I'll use this lens as a magnifying glass, see what we can see. Well, that's interesting. It actually says it's published in June 1807 by William Miller, number 49 Albanal Street, and James Wallace and Company, and I can't quite make out the end of that. I'll have to do a bit of research. But it's definitely hand coloured. A very interesting piece of travel history really. Certainly speaks from the time period. Value wise, I tend to sell these 25 to 35 pounds depending on the age, quality and the subject matter. But coaching, horses, popular subject. Okay, so that's a early 19th century coaching print. Next out, this is a bit of flea market stock really. It's a jewelled trinket box. I don't think it's silver plate, possibly white or bright metal, jewelled with stones. Looks like they're all there. It's got a clasp on the front, so that's quite nice, and a little bonus, it is lined with a purple lining. There's no maker's mark on it. It is well made, there are no stones missing. I'd put this down as Southeast Asian again. Fairly recent, maybe in the last 10 to 20 years. Does look as though it's got a little bit of age to it, but by no means an antique or even vintage in my classification. Price wise I would be asking in the region of 15 to 20 pounds for this little casket. Another contemporary piece, modern, wooden cat letter rack. Pure decorative, of no great value at all. I would price this as a decorative item that would sit on a hall table for letters or documents at approximately £10. It's quite an attractive little thing and desirable, especially if you love your cats. So it will sell, but not for a lot of money, as I say, about £10. Would be the best I would hope to get for it. Next out, quite a large, solid, now I think that's a ceramic decorative decoy duck. I don't think it's resin, hand painted, no maker's mark. I think we're on a run of Southeast Asian pieces at the moment. They're more valuable if they have a glass eye, 10 to 15 pounds, and be open to an offer. Overall, decorative, it is what it is. Next out we have a gilt effect resin jewellery box. Green felt lining, black felt base, probably be asking £15 on eBay. And then take an offer. It's well made, it's extremely well made, there's no damage. The important thing with this type of item is there any damage? And this is in excellent condition. It's quite weighty as well, it's reasonable quality, although it will be mass produced and it is modern. But £15 I think for the quality of that is a fair price. Okay. Next we have a pair of plated candlesticks. Green felt base, a little bit of age to them, but they are modern. 10 to 20 years old perhaps. Style wise, Georgian, early 19th century, but they're not of that age. These are what I would call retro. By retro, I mean that they're contemporary but designed to look old. That's my definition of retro. You will find dealers have different interpretations of antique, retro, vintage. For me, antique is obviously over in excess of 100 years of age. Vintage, in my book, is anything older than 20 to 30 years. Mid-century speaks for itself. We're talking the middle of the 20th century, so mid-century for me is 50s through to 60s and into the 70s. And modern contemporary is kind of 80s, sort of 80s, definitely 90s to present. When I use the word decorative, that can apply across all of the classifications. So you can have a decorative antique, decorative vintage mid-century piece, decorative retro, modern. So price wise, these are nice, pretty little candlestick holders. I would value these at around the £15 mark and see what offers come in. There's no maker's mark, there's no plating mark. So yeah, £15 I think is a fair price for those. Next ad, modern piece, ceramic duck with a lid, compartment inside, bits and pieces, no maker's mark. Southeast Asian again, I would imagine. It does have glass eyes which make it slightly more desirable. Hand painted. Little tip, what you want to be looking out for are the vintage or antique wooden decoy ducks, particularly the American market. They go for a lot of money. What you're looking for is hand painted, hand carved, signed, dated on the bottom perhaps, but they are incredibly valuable, or can be. Unlike this ceramic duck, which I would probably value at around £10. Next ad, we have a pair of antique Chinese fans, hand fans. Now I remember buying these and they do have a little bit of damage to them. They came as a job lot. This one is less damaged, this one has the least damage on it. It has a tear to the paper. Hand painted, very early 20th century. How do I know that? Well, provenance, I do have provenance. The person I bought them off, they came from their great aunt who lived in Paris, France at the time. And that was the early part of the 20th century, and when she moved back to London she brought it all back with her. So some damage to that one, £5 or £6. This one slightly different, wooden bands and a material stuck to the wood which creates the fan effect. This has more damage, it has sustained more damage, some of the wood's missing. Value wise, as little as £3 or £4 for that one. If you can spare a second to like, comment and subscribe to this channel, Vintage Freak Limited, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, take care and stay safe.